Long. Locker steps up, finds Russo. First down inside the 40-yard line before he's escorted out of bounds by Thurman.
And again, Jake Locker gets the credit. Nice route by Anthony Russo. But watch Louis Rankin here. He takes on two blitzing linebackers, allowing Jake Locker. That's called a scan. He comes from one side, he picks him up, and there was actually, you saw tailing behind them, a second linebacker coming free that couldn't even go around it because of the collision there by Louis Rankin. So not only churning those legs on kickoffs, not only making the big runs, but just been terrific in his pass protection tonight.
Locker with the swing pass to Russo. Williams can't hold it, and it goes for a minus play. They're trying to set it up so that Williams knocked off the first defender and gave Russo around the edge, but that doesn't play out. Jerome Boyd, the strong side linebacker for the Ducks, the junior out of Los Angeles, gets credit for the tackle.
And that's the first time that Oregon has defensed that play. Washington's ran it 4 or 5 times and had some success on first down. There you see the speed. Jerome Boyd, a 4'5", 40 guy, a guy that can really run in linebacker. He chases that down. I'm expecting later in the game, off of that play, you have a chance to fake that quick screen and go down the sidelines. Keep an eye out.
Rankin off the edge, and he hesitated for just a moment. Thurman made him pay. Rankin had a seam inside, right up the hash mark, basically between most of the scrum at the point of attack, and Thurman coming, but he hesitates, and that's what costs him so often.
And now I know why this Oregon staff likes Thurman so much and why they think he can play at the next level, Brian, because he forced the issue there. Not very often do you see these little cornerbacks that like to come up and tackle. He's their third leading tackler. He comes in with a viciousness to him, not afraid to throw his body and throw Louis Rankin off there.
A little low snap, but they move the pocket. Locker, Whitestat throws downfield for Marcel Reese. Takes it away from the defender. Touchdown! Marcel Reese feels like he needs to show some folks something as well. Snatches the ball away from Willie Glasper and dives into the house.
If you like offense, don't change the channel tonight. How about this football game? 31-31. We're not even in the fourth quarter. Big plays abound all over the football field. What a heck of a football game tonight in Seattle.
Perkins for the extra point. 31 aside. And 16 minutes and change remaining. Locker with 4 touchdown passes. That ties his season and thus career best, which he set at UCLA.
And statistically, this is the best game that Jake Locker's played this year. But I tell you what, Brian, I watch his composure, his body language, his toughness there, waiting to the last second so Marcel Reese can get down the field and separate just enough to make that play. And we talk about Louis Rankin looking at Jonathan Stewart across the sidelines. How about Jake Locker looking at Dennis Dixon saying, you're a senior, I'm a freshman. You are what I aspire to be. You are at the top of your game. Let me see how my chips play up to your chips tonight, and both of them making play after play.
Reese with his second touchdown catch, and Locker, anybody who saw him play at Ferndale High School up near the Canadian border, anybody who saw him play in the state championship game that Ferndale lost to Bellevue. They were down so big at the half, and Locker and his buddy Rocky Sandusky, who's now playing at Western Washington, teamed up to almost bring Ferndale back, and it came down to a last-second pass that I think E.J. Savannah may have broken up that pass, as a matter of fact, and they nearly did it. And the next year, they wound up winning the state championship. And he is a gamer, and that's unfortunate for Bowman, out of bounds, and that will give Oregon good field position. Crenshaw, a couple of moments ago, scored his second touchdown of the season. I think to your point about Washington, or rather Stewart, a lot of carries, get him out of the kicking unit. College football and FSN brought to you by the all-new Ranger Razor. See it up close at your local Polaris Ranger dealer. And by AT&T. Singular's name is now AT&T. Your world delivered. Brian Davis, Brock Hewitt, Brooke Olsen, Dan, delivering a pretty darn good football game at Husky Stadium in Seattle, where it has started to rain here in the second half. They're going to re-kick. But But again, now instead of from the 30-yard line, we'll go back a little bit farther. I don't think Bowman has had a touchback yet this year, but he's certainly not alone. A couple of weeks ago, I saw an article in the Oregonian that said that at that point in the season, 2 or 3 weeks ago, there had been 42 kickoffs returned for touchdown compared to 28 through the same number of weeks the year before, because now you're kicking from the 30-yard line and you get a lot more returns. So from the 25-yard line now.
And Oregon continues to put pressure on you offensively, defense, even on their kickoff returns. You just feel like you're waiting for them to make yet another play.
Here's Crenshaw across the 35-yard line. And Oregon gets a chance to respond with 64 seconds remaining in the third quarter. Husky Stadium in Seattle. Hello, Brian Davis along with Brock Huard. Washington has felt like it has been so close this season in terms of getting over the hump. They're trying to break a 4-game overall losing streak. This, you bet, would be the time that Kent Bear would like to see him make another stop.
I think this team's tired of being close. Close is good in horseshoes, but it's certainly not been good for the Huskies. They've been close in many games in Tyrone Willingham's career. They have not had that statement game getting over the top. They've got 16 minutes here tonight to see if they can change that.
Dixon on the keep. The toss now to Stewart, and Forrester was bumped in the back by the tight end Dixon, but the play stands as a first down, and you could certainly make the argument that the tight end Ed Dixon got a little bit too much of Forrester, and from the backside no less.
And again, you get into this option. They're just not responding. Look at the collisions there. Oh, and that's awfully close there. I tell you what, he puts his hands up. By putting his hands up, Brian, he avoids that flag. If he would have continued to have his hands, how about the presence there of Dixon to get his hands up and say, I'm not doing anything? I think that helped avoid that flag, but this option is just killing Washington.
13-yard play into Washington territory on the quick hitter. It's Crenshaw.
We certainly talked about Darren Harris and some of the pounding that he's taken tonight, but these linebackers, E.J. Savannah, Donald Butler, Howell, they have taken shots. When you play this option offense and you get those linemen and the tight ends and the receivers, everyone cracking down on you. A lot of collisions around that box tonight for the Huskies.
Here's Stewart around the corner, and Butler was just a little bit hesitant to make the move to the ball carrier, and that allows Stewart to come very close to 200 yards on the night. That establishes a new career high with his 26th rushing attempt of this ball game, and he gets the Ducks another big first down.
And who's going to wear down here in this fourth quarter? Has Jonathan Stewart got enough left in this tank, or is this purple and gold team from Washington, who has not been able to finish, are they going to be able to rise up? Should be a very entertaining 15 minutes of football. 31
points aside, 62 points on the board through 45 minutes. Who's going to be the hero? Who's going to rise up and finish this job? Don't go away. 15 minutes to play in Montlake. Washington and Oregon tied at 31. Huskies outgained the Ducks 158 to 139 in the third quarter, but Oregon football, as we begin the fourth quarter, first down at the Washington 38-yard line. Pflugrad, the swing pass, and the block held by Williams just long enough to get Pflugrad about 5 yards on the play before Darren Harris again with the tackle for Washington.
Nice pursuit there for the Huskies. It'll be interesting in this fourth quarter to watch the game plan. Kent Bear has been very conservative tonight. That's not in his nature. He likes to blitz. He likes to be aggressive. Been conservative, been on their heels. 29 first downs for Oregon through 3 quarters. When will he start to dial up the blitz?
Stewart steps through a tackle. He was hit in the backfield. That was either Afoa or Howell. And very close to another Oregon first down.
and Jonathan Stewart, a junior. And as I told you earlier, Tim Ruskell up in this press box watching his efforts tonight for the Seahawks. He talked about the fact that he likes to maybe someday be a police officer. Well, I'll tell you what, after watching him tonight, Brian, there is no doubt that police officer career, that can wait, because he has NFL written all over him.
He delivers justice in a different manner. And Dixon to Williams. Gets a block. Forrester is taken out of the play, and Davenport a little bit late. Oregon with another 10-plus gain. It's a first down. The Ducks very close to 500 yards of total offense. They have 300 yards rushing against Washington for the second consecutive year. Ducks have beaten the Huskies 3 straight. Only once in the history of this series, playing for the 100th time tonight, has Oregon beaten Washington 4 straight, and that was 75 years ago. Here's Crenshaw. Peeking, gets a block, and Davenport does a nice job of filling. Trent Tuiasosopo on the backside as well. Haven't seen very much of him, but they combine to bring Crenshaw down.
Byron Davenport, probably the best cover corner you've seen tonight. What they've done in their game plan is put Roy Lewis into the boundary, into the short side, because that's typically where a lot of these runs come. But a nice job there by Davenport to stick his head in there and limit the run.
Dunheim, a little bit quick. Jeff Schwartz turns the right tackle, turns to Dixon. They make an adjustment off of what Schwartz tells Dixon, assuming he could hear it. And here's Crenshaw. Nice block. Schwartz allows Crenshaw to cut it back inside to the 5-yard line. First and goal, Oregon.
And again, these linebackers, E.J. Savannah's eyes were in the backfield, and that's all it took. One step. You've seen this all drive long. That screen pass to Williams, the receiver. One step of Mesvin Forrester just sitting there watching. These linebackers have so much pressure on them tonight, but they've got to read and react that much quicker.
Another play change, but because they don't huddle, he's still got 15 seconds.
I don't think I've ever seen an offense put as much pressure on a defense as this group at Oregon does.
Crenshaw again, looking for the corner. He's got a touchdown, Oregon.
And how about Mark Lewis? How about Jeff Schwartz? How about those big boys on the right side of the Oregon offensive line just wearing down this front of the University of Washington? That's 31 first downs. That's 500-plus yards. This defense has been on the field. They've been on the field a lot, partly because they're not getting off, partly because the offense is making big plays to match up. But with 12 minutes to go, the tank for this Husky defense is awfully, awfully flat.
Evenson out of the hold of Brady Leaf for the extra point that will reestablish a 7-point lead for Oregon. Dennis Dixon, he is a competitor. And Crenshaw's got 2 touchdowns tonight. That's 269 yards of rushing offense right there. Crenshaw on the left, Stewart on the right. He's established new career highs tonight. 27 carries, 240 yards. Another 500-yard night for the Oregon offense. Hey, listen, they averaged 533. So is anybody surprised by this? But what has got to shock a lot of people is that Washington has 31 on the board. This is a 7-point game. Rankin will return from the 5. Tripped up as he gets across the 25-yard line. So Rankin with another 20-plus yard return. You know, the last 6 games between these teams have been absolute beatdowns. The average margin 26. So this is a little bit of a trend buster.
Big plays, Brian. Both sides all game long. Just matching up big play for big play. And here, if you're Washington, you better take some time off of this clock in this drive, because that defense is sucking wind over there on the bench. They've been on the field and they've been churned up and spit out tonight. So this Husky offense has got to be the best defense they can be and stay on the field.
Locker locking on to Corey Williams. He threw an interception on the Huskies' last possession, and the Ducks turned that into 7 points.
And nice job there by the guys up front to protect for Jake. Had all the time he wanted. You've seen Oregon tonight be the aggressors defensively. Blitz, leave those guys in one-on-one. There they only rush 4. They play some coverage. They allow Jake to hold the ball, and ultimately they're nearly, in many essences, just throw that football away. So watch here the defensive game plan of Oregon. They've given up many big plays. Will they take it off the throttle a little bit and just play a little zone defense?
Saw Ryan Total, the sophomore out of Pasco, the guard breaking the huddle, one of the 5 300-pounders on the Washington offensive line. Time now for our Sterling Savings Bank trivia question. We've given you a couple of hints, but we're not going to take you there. 3rd down and 7. And we'll fill you in. 1997. I don't think you want to be reminded of that, do you?
Actually, I don't. I didn't get to play in that game. I had sprained my ankle the week before against USC, and that was frustrating. We were 7-1 when they rolled in here, and I believe they were 3-4, 3-5.
Locker stepping up, and Williams broke inside. He was covered by Glasper, and instead of hitching and going, he hitched and came back. So a 3-and-out at a tough time for Locker in the Washington offense. A tough time, I say, because to your point, the Ducks held the ball for 8.5 minutes in the 3rd quarter compared to 6.5 for the Huskies. Right now, an 8-minute or a 7-minute advantage in TOP for Oregon.
You never want 3-and-outs ever offensively. You certainly don't want them after what you just mentioned, after your defense has been on the field. And this is the time in the game, Brian, where the Huskies have played all season long. They've been there. They've been close. This is a time where this defense has to rise to the occasion if they have any chance over the last 11 minutes.
Good punt by Ballman gives the Huskies defense a little bit of position.
Toyota. Get in. Toyota? Get in.
The Toyota Tundra is changing a lot of minds. And now you can get $2,500 cash back or choose 0% APR financing for 48 months. Find out more at ytundra.com.
The Red Bull Air Race World Series continues on FSN. 250 miles per hour, 10 G's. Motorsport's ultimate thrill ride. Wow! This season, pilots battle head-to-head over the most spectacular locations across the globe. The world's most dangerous sport takes flight. The Red Bull Air Race World Series from Porto, Sunday on FSN.
Tonight on the FSN, final score presented by DirecTV. The ALCS back in Boston, where Curt Schilling and the Red Sox try to force a Game 7 against the Indians. And a huge day in the SEC as Kentucky hosts defending champion Florida, and LSU looks to bounce back against Auburn. Plus, it's a showdown in South Bend as USC renews the rivalry with Charlie Weiss and Notre Dame. All the day's highlights in 30 minutes. It's the final score.
Ducks with the lead in the ball, so how did we get here? Their first 2 touches, Oregon got the ball in the house. It's 14-0, 5 minutes into the game. But then back comes Jake Locker, 83 yards to Russo. 4th longest pass play in Washington football history. But then Big Thunder from Timberline High. Jonathan Stewart sitting on a 200-yard night. Rankin on the screen pass. Huskies with touchdowns of 83, 26, and 43 yards before Andre Crenshaw scored the second of his 2 touchdowns tonight to reestablish the 7-point lead for the Ducks at 38-31 from the 13-yard line. Bang!
Nope.
Dixon out of jail. The guy who takes the fake has been paying the price in a big way tonight, because Dixon goes from the 13 to the 45, 32 yards to scramble for the quarterback, the senior Dennis Dixon.
And many teams put that play, and you'll see that in college football. Florida does it a lot. The Huskies have tried to do that here, and I'm telling you, Brian, the key to that play is the ability of Dennis Dixon to ride that fake out. Yes, the guy gets ear hold, but he goes for 30 yards on the other end.
Here's Stewart hit in the hole by Trenton Tuiasosopo, who stays around his ankles. 4-yard gain, 2nd down and 6. Tuiasosopo played a lot the first couple games of the season as he came back from a potentially devastating head injury that he suffered in an offseason biking accident. So just to see him back on the field is really tribute to his toughness.
Again, you see some of the shaking of the heads there, some of the body language of this Husky defense trying to figure it out. They have not got a grasp on this offense and where that football is going.
Dixon with the keep. And from the backside, Daniel Teonesheim finds Oregon, by the way, with 3 touchdown drives over 80 yards tonight. You want to talk about a trend buster. Jordan Reffin was knocked down a couple of passes tonight. But Dixon goes to the line of scrimmage 18-29 for 191 yards. 3rd down and short. Here's Stewart. Using Crenshaw the way that they did late in the 3rd quarter and here early in the 4th really gave Stewart, the junior out of Lacey, Washington, enough of a blow that he can now begin to punish you at a time when ball possession, clock management become critical in this game.
You get to a 3rd and 2 that time. You get to 3rd down, but with such a short yardage, Oregon able again to keep the pressure on. It's not rocket science, Brian. They continue to run the same plays. They're wearing down this Husky defensive line, and they are controlling this game.
Tuiasosopo and Mason Foster with the tackle on Crenshaw on 1st down, no gain. 2nd down and 10. You see the rushing numbers and the time of possession basically to match.
You see a little wrinkle here. They've actually shifted Grayson Gunheim. He's come to the right side of the line of scrimmage, flipped his defensive end position, tried to get a little more stout on that right side.
Crenshaw, Tuiasosopo again. The senior out of Mariner High School in Everett. You saw the lineage issue, and he is playing like a monster. This is the best chance he's had to shine in weeks, and he is making the most of it. Oregon is 4 out of 4 on 3rd down here in the 2nd half after going 1 of 6. And Howell just does get off. And here's Crenshaw. Lobos says no. Eric Lobos with another tackle for loss, his 2nd of the night. Brings up 4th down and brings Oregon's field goal unit back into the pitch.
And I don't know what Dennis Dixon, he's made plays all night. He's made that read right every time tonight. That's not an easy read. Not only is there details, Brian, in that fake, not only is it such a timing issue, but he's been right every time there. I think if he could replay that, he'd keep the ball in his hands. But credit Lobos making a critical 3rd down tackle.
Evenson missed from 53 late in the 1st half, but hits here from 47, his longest of the season, and he gives Oregon a 2-score lead. You know, he wasn't even the #1 guy at the beginning of the season.
And it's just a nice operation. Again, credit Oregon tonight. Look at how clean they've played this football game. Turnovers? No. A couple penalties? Yeah. A couple misalignments. But they've played such a clean football game. That operation, again, I'll say it, the pressure that they put on a defense. Kent Baer, his staff, scratching their head over there. 33 first downs. The statistics are mind-boggling, but they've done it all year long. And to sit up here and watch them surgically go down the field, surgically put the pressure on, surgically keep the throttle on, it is so impressive to watch a group play with this kind of precision.
Evenson, the junior out of Franklin High School in Portland, 2 out of 3 tonight in a game in which both teams have really sort of played over their season averages. Long chunks of yardage have contributed to a total of, at least to this point, 72 total points, with 8:21 remaining in the 4th quarter at Husky Stadium in Seattle. This one out of bounds, and if there's a flaw in Evenson's game, it is that every now and then he will hook one out of bounds. He's done it 3 or 4 times, and that was one of the things that contributed into the ascension of Daniel Padilla, a true freshman to the number
Free
one
kick out of
kicking zone.
bounds, kicking team. Ball will be placed at the 35-yard line, first down.
Padilla started having some problems, and the veteran Evenson back in, and he's playing very well. Now, offensively tonight, these teams have run, Oregon has run 83 plays to 49 for Washington. And take a look, you literally are talking about the top and the bottom. Huskies with 370 total yards, but the Ducks with 568. By the way, that's, you know what's sick about that? It's only 15 yards over their season average. Jake Locker has had some room to run tonight, and this is going to be a good one. Locker taken down inside the 20-yard line.
And I told you just earlier that you'll see many teams in college football run the same play that Oregon has done tonight. And what does Washington do on the first down? You don't quite see it on the replay there, but the fake to Homer, Jake Locker does a great job of riding him, bringing that defense in, and then using that God-given speed that he has to make an enormous play. And again, every time that Oregon has methodically marched down the field, what have the Huskies done? They've come back and made that big play right in the face of that adversity.
47 yards for Locker. That ties Washington's longest rushing play of the season. And tonight, Locker 87 yards on the ground. Dixon, who had the big gainer on the Ducks' last touchdown drive, with 86. Rankin looked for a moment fairly promising as Rankin dove through the gap created by his center Juan Garcia and his guard Ryan Toller, but
and there you see a little difference there. There you see Kwame Odgman step up there, the senior for Oregon, do what the Husky linebackers haven't. He read the play, same play. Jake Locker puts the ball out there in Lewis Rankin's belly. He's either going to take it or tuck it. He gives it, and you see what the Huskies have not done defensively. They've not reacted and not attacked. A senior for Oregon showing you how you have to stop that inside zone play.
Rankin gets stuck in the trees. That one did not develop as quickly or as crisply as you needed to. Now, you asked the question about it. See, Locker says that was on me, but you asked the question, well, what does this do big picture for Washington? I'll tell you this, you can talk about the long-term benefits of this, but the bottom line is they don't fix the scoreboard right now. They're going to be losers of 5 straight.
And those are the plays right there, that 2nd and 8 that just kill you. Just a discombobulated play from the start that now compounds the problem and puts you into a 3rd and 8 situation.
No tight ends, setting Locker up to the blitz, and he's going to be sacked. Jerome Boyd will get credit for the sack. That's dangerous, though. In 3rd and long, and you don't have any tight ends, and you got your receivers all spread out. That, to me, is one of the most dangerous situations in football for a quarterback.
And we talked about Kwame Odgman earlier there, attacking the line of scrimmage. He does it again. He doesn't make the play. You see how fired up Tim Lopano is there, but that's the aggressiveness. Again, the 3-man front. It's been 100% blitz every time tonight, and that time they take advantage.
42-yard attempt for Perkins, as long as the season is 37. And this one is going to go through for another milestone for Perkins, coming back from a devastating knee injury a year and a half ago. Line drove his first of the night, sails this one through, and it's back to a 7-point game. With Brock Huard and Brooke Olzendam, Brian Davis at Husky Stadium in Seattle. 6 minutes remaining in regulation. How bad did Jake Locker and the Washington offense need that career-best 42-yard field goal from Ryan Perkins?
And what does that look like? Jake Locker talking to Tim Lopano. That looks like your teenage son saying, it was my fault. It was totally my fault. I totally agree with you. It was totally my fault.
Oh, and they go onside, and the hands team recovers for Oregon. The Ducks, great awareness on the play. Jeff Kendall. We go back to our College Football Northwest studios. Cameron Wong.
Update, Boise State and Louisiana Tech, 4th quarter. Taylor Tharp looking deep to Jeremy Childs. This one's a shootout. Little play action, and Jeremy Childs right there. Touchdown. Broncos win 45-31 on the road. Brian Brock, back to you guys.
Well, the Huskies gamble, going for the onside kick, and what they wind up with is good field position for the Ducks. Rory Kubai, 9-1, not 5-1, with the recovery. Big play for the reserve receiver. The faked handoff and Pflugrad as they come back to the other side, and Davenport, Darren Harris to Pflugrad. 5-yard play, though, and Oregon only has half the field to work with. Putting Oregon on a short field is always dangerous.
And it's just amazing, Bart. You're right. And what's amazing is you feel like a 5-yard play, you've won defensively. That's the level of execution these guys play with offensively, that a 5-yard is just out. And a 5-yard play on first down is a great game.
You got to walk out of here kind of thinking, please, sir, may I have another? Jonathan Stewart giving the Huskies another all the way inside the 15-yard line. Stewart blasting to a first down and another gain of 20 yards plus for the Oregon offense.
And again, we talk about those Oregon linebackers that can run, the veteran guys that are aggressive. Watch the linebackers here tonight for the Huskies, just getting chopped down, not staying on their feet, not being the aggressors there in time and time and time. It happens so much now that you've got to just absolutely tip your hat to that offensive line for Oregon. They have been so dominant.
Dixon did not have a rushing touchdown. He had had one in every game to this point, and he's got it now. It's big. Touchdown, Ducks.
Tell you what, Brian, it will be very interesting to watch this offense the next 2 weeks when they play USC at home and they play Arizona State at home, to see if they can do what they've done tonight. This is not an awful Husky defense. Yes, statistically in some areas they've struggled in spurts, but this has been for 60 minutes. From the opening kickoff to 4 minutes to go, they have done whatever they have wanted to do offensively, controlled this football game. I don't know if I'm seeing one of the best offenses I've ever seen in college football, but I'll know after the next 2 weeks when they take on SC at home and the level of athleticism they'll face next week. But Dennis Dixon, Jonathan Stewart, this group up front, these guys are dynamite.
You talked about the gamble that Oregon took late in the first half when Evenson missed the 53-yard field goal. The onside kick backfires here against Washington.
It does backfire. The only thing I would say, Brian, is that with 5 minutes to go and you've watched your defense give up 37 first downs, the last thing you want to do, that's a great play. That is just a well-coached football player making a play on the football. 2 plays later, they score. But that is a gamble that I believe Tyrone Willingham at this stage in the game has to make. With 5 minutes to go, he kicks off. Oregon could very well run this whole game out of here because they've run now for what, 400 yards? Am I reading that right?
Yes, you are.
416 yards in Husky Stadium.
That's a season high for Oregon. 37 first downs establishes a new University of Oregon offensive record.
And again, remember now, this is without their number 2 running back, who had 500 yards and 6 touchdowns. This is without their second leading receiver. I think you give Mike Bellani, Chip Kelly, this offensive staff for Oregon one heck of a pat on the back, because their plan tonight, Washington had no answers for.
And on the short kickoff, Paul Homer brings Washington out close to midfield and knocking on the door. Jonathan Stewart with 245 yards rushing, 2 touchdowns. They're 30 yards short, 4.5 minutes remaining. And Washington needs to score 2 touchdowns here now. You figure they got a chance to get that. Pressure. Fatete gets a hand on Locker. Gottlieb with the bailout. He's hit by Odgeman right at the 50-yard line. Gain of 6 or 7 as Locker beats the blitz.
Nice job there. Patience by Jake Locker, feeling some of that presence around him. Credit the Husky offensive line tonight. I think they played well. They've opened up some lanes for Lewis Rankin. They've given Jake some time. Maybe they haven't handled every blitz exactly correctly. But tonight against this juggernaut of Oregon, I don't care what you did offensively. They put up, the Huskies have 34 points, and they're not even close, Brian. They're not even, yeah, they're 2 touchdowns down, but this is 612 yards by Oregon. It wouldn't have mattered what you did offensively tonight. You had no answers for Oregon's offense tonight.
Cody Ellis well covered by Odgeman and Patrick Chung, the Rover back. So it's incomplete. 3rd down and 3. Huskies are 5 out of 12 on 3rd down tonight. 37% on the season ranks them 7th in the Pac-10. And here's pressure, and Locker has got to throw it away.
It'll be a flag, I believe, with men down the field.
Outside the framework.
You run that screen pass. They tried to set up the screen pass there, Brian. Typically, you'll see a flag on that because you had linemen down the field when he threw the football. But they avoid the call, 4th and 3, and I guess you call this life support here, huh?
Yeah, 3 and out. This is the thing about, I tell you, Oregon's defense, Aliotti and his guys don't get enough credit because they do give up a lot of yards tonight. They've given up a lot of points, but they make stops when they need to. And Ellis on 4th down. It's a turnover on downs, and Oregon is in great position to slam the lid on this one.
I think it's been easy for this Husky group and many of their faithful to look at this team this year and say, boy, a quarter here, a drive here, a play here, and this season could be entirely different, Brian. But tonight, I'm just telling you, yes, they made some great plays. Jake Locker played one of his best games in his career yet, made some dynamic plays. But when you have no answers for an offense, and really the only time that Oregon has stopped themselves tonight are those drives where they had some false starts or they fumbled one time. Outside of that, they have done whatever they have wanted to do for 55 minutes.
1st and 10 marker brought to you by the Emerald Queen Casino. 83-yard touchdown play, 36-yard touchdown play, 43-yard, check that, 26-yard touchdown play. Otherwise, really, you take those out, and how can you possibly? But if you take those out, then what you are left with is a really dominant performance by Oregon on both sides of the ball.
And I just can't give enough credit, Brian, to Chip Kelly. He's the new offensive coordinator from Oregon. We chatted with him this week. He comes here to Eugene from New Hampshire, where he was for 14 years.
There's Aliotti, by the way, giving a little love to the guy on the other side of the ball, helping him get another big win.
Yeah, in 14 years, Kelly comes from New Hampshire to New Eugene. Does not know anybody here. Mike Bellotti says, I want you to come in here and interview. I want to change the pace just a little bit. And Chip Kelly has done a little bit more than change the pace in Eugene.
Crenshaw gets away from Tuiasa Sopo. Darren Harris saves a touchdown.